Gotta stay hydrated. Boom, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Sisters of Battle Codex that is coming out here. Ninth Edition has caught up, and the Sisters are ready to do battle. I do have to say right off the bat, thank you very much, Games Workshop, for sending me a free copy of the Adepta Sororitas Codex so I can give you guys a preview of what is to come here for Ninth Edition for the Sisters of Battle. So we are going to give it a look through, see what they've got going on, see what changes they have, see what they've got, their bespoke secondaries that they've got going on, and just have a quick look-see to see how it goes. So far for Ninth Edition, I have been very pleased with what they've been doing. All of the codexes seem to have been balanced. I know we had a little bit of a hiccup with the Dark Eldar a little bit, but honestly, not even so much. Like, even though there was like 2 people in the top 10 of tournaments with the Drukhari there, they weren't super overpowered, and even after that, they've taken care of that with the recent FAQ. So, looks like they're doing a very good job in this edition with Ninth Edition to give us a fair and balanced, edition so far, with all of the new books really doing well against each other. I know a lot of the ones that are still using the 8th edition, the GSC, the Tau, are struggling right now with the play, but honestly, that's because they don't have their new books, and all of the new books, from the first one being the Space Marines all the way up now through with the AdMech and the Sisters here. I think they've done a pretty good job of balancing them out so that any of the 9th edition codexes that are out there are worth playing and can play well, and you can make builds that are being competitive for them, which is exactly what you want to have in an edition here, to have it all work together. So, but let's crack this open and take a look. I really, really am digging the cover art for this. It's so really like gritty and grim darky, and just awesome to see the what is it, the Palatine, I believe they're called, the charging over there through the fires with their battlesuit sisters in the back there. Just super cool, and the art style is really, really rad and gritty and super, super awesome. I really enjoyed the new cover art that they've been doing for these codexes has been awesome, and it's just cool to see it now put in here. So, it's not just a sister shooting a bolter on the cover there. It's, she's charging through the flames here, and it's, man, really rad. Really like the cover art. So, open it up again. It's a really beautiful book that they've got. Awesome artwork. I know that just happened to be the same one I was just talking about, but awesome artwork throughout. Awesome, cool lore. Talking about different things, like the fact that we now have a Lord of Terra getting out there and wrecking face out there in the out there doing awesome stuff. So just going through all the different stuff that they've got. A lot of really awesome lore that I'm not going to get into, just because that's more for, if you want to read it, you should get this, and that's what I think you should do. But they always have really good art with the pictures for the different orders, different color schemes that you've got there that you can do, which is always fun to see and watch all the different models get painted up. It's cool to see the new model types getting painted up as well with their different the different things that they've got going on. So awesome to see all of that. But what we are all here, so cool. I always love these. I always love when they place them out like this. So rad to see it all just out there. But this is why you're all here, to see what's going on with the rules here, see what they've done. I know that GW has previewed a couple of the different rules that they've got in this book, but let's keep going through and find out everything that we've got to show here. So they talk about the combat patrol, so detachment abilities here. An Adepta Sororitas detachment with that detachment is one that only includes models with the Adepta Sororitas models, excluding models with the Cult Imperialis, Agents of the Imperium, or unaligned keywords. Adepta Sororitas detachments gain the Decree passive ability. So that's going to be the new detachment only ability that you've got going on there. Units excluding Sanctified and Outcast units in Adepta Sororitas detachments gain the Order Convictions ability. So that's kind of cool. We'll get into that in a bit there. I imagine Outcasts might be the Repentia and stuff like that. And then troops units, Adepta Sororitas detachments gain the Objective Secured ability. So that's all pretty standard stuff there. And we'll go through checking all of these here. So the Degree passive is you can include a maximum of 1 Canoness model and 1 missionary model in this detachment. You cannot include more Cult Imperialis priest units in this detachment than there are Adepta Sororitas character units. Oh, okay, so cool. So you can have 1 missionary and 1 Canoness and you have to have at least as many Imperial Adepta Sororitas characters as Cult Imperialis priest models in there. So you can't just have a bunch of priests leading a bunch of battle sisters in. They need to have some of their battle sister stuff going on there. So, and then we have Order Convictions. All Adepta Sororitas units with this ability and all the models in them gain an Order Conviction, so long as every unit in their detachment that is from the Order is from the same Order. The convictions gained depend upon the order they are from, as shown in the following pages. If your order does not have an associated order conviction, you must instead select order minoritas convictions from the described on page 64 through 65, basically allowing you to make your own custom orders, which is pretty cool. So then we have the Orders Militant down here. If your army is battle-forged, Order units of the Adepta Sororitas detachments gain the access to the following Order Militant rules, provided every model in the detachment is from an Order Militant is drawn from the same Order Militant. Such detachment is referred to as an Orders Militant detachment. All Order units, Order Convictions, all Order units, excluding Sanctified units, in an Order Militant detachment will gain an Order Conviction as described on page 58 through 65. On these pages, you will find the associated order convictions associated with each order militant, as well as a list of order minoris convictions that you must use in your order if your order does not have the associated order conviction. We got the Warlord Traits. We're gonna have the Stratagems, and then you got the Relics of the Ecclesiarchy here. For each order militant that is associated, each order militant has an associated order militant relic of the Ecclesiarchy. If your army is led by a sanctified warlord or an Adepta Sororitas order warlord, you can, when mustering your army, give the relevant order militant relic to an Adepta Sororitas order character model from your army, instead of giving them a relic of the Ecclesiarchy from pages blah blah blah. So we'll go through all those as well. So basically giving them each their own specified stuff. So pretty standard stuff that they've got going on here, but a lot of the abilities are just talking about detachment abilities. So far, I haven't seen anything about having your whole list, or the whole list having to be it, which is interesting, because that would make them, again, prone to being really good for souping with things like the Adeptus Custodes or something like that. So now we've got the different orders here. So we have the Order of the Martyred Lady, the Blood of Martyrs. At the end of any phase other than the morale phase in which any unit with this conviction were destroyed, you gain 1 miracle dice. This is in addition to any miracle dice gained at the end of a phase in which a character unit from this conviction was destroyed. See Sacrifice page 91. And then they have their specified stratagem here, Honor the Martyrs. Use the stratagem at the end of a phase in which an Order of Our Martyred Lady character model from your army was destroyed by an enemy unit, excluding models that were destroyed and subsequently returned to the battlefield that phase due to any rules, e.g. the Divine Intervention stratagem. Until the end of the battle, each time an Order of Our Martyred Lady model makes an attack against that enemy unit, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So +1 to wound against a unit that kills one of your characters, which is pretty rad, for 1 CP. Yeah, not bad at all. Then you have their Warlord trait is Shield Bearer. Each time an attack is allocated to this Warlord, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of the attack to a minimum of 1. So Duty Eternal, which is pretty rad. Each time you gain a miracle dice at the end of a phase as a result of vengeance, if this Warlord destroyed any enemy units during this phase, that miracle dice is automatically a 6. Oh, that's pretty cool. So if you get it because of vengeance, and if they killed an enemy unit during that phase, you get an automatic 6 on your roll, which is pretty good for those awesome miracle dice. And each time you gain a miracle dice at the end of a phase as a result of sacrifice, or if this warlord was destroyed during that phase, the miracle dice is automatically a 6. So that's pretty cool. So automatically getting a 6 for sacrifice, automatically getting a 6 for vengeance if the warlord killed a unit, or if this warlord is destroyed during that phase. So pretty cool. At the end of a phase as a result of sacrifice. Yeah, so if you gain a miracle dice because of sacrifice, or if this warlord was destroyed during that phase, this miracle dice is automatically a 6. So it says or. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be and if this warlord was. But either if right now as it says or. So as long as you're always getting 6s on sacrifice dice, which is pretty cool. And then the relic that you get for our Martyred Lady, a model equipped with this with an Inferno pistol only. The relic becomes pistol 1, strength 9, AP -4, D6 +3. So, that's pretty good. That's pretty rad. Minimum 4, maximum 9 damage from a pistol shot, 12-inch range. Oof, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Granted, I mean, it's one shot, and so your max you're getting is 5 shots per game, but still, I like it. I think that could be super effective. Moving on over here, we now move to the Order of the Valorous Heart. We have Stoic Endurance is the name of their ability here. Each time a model with this conviction would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6 on a 5+. That wound is not lost. So 5+, feel no pain across the board for against mortal wounds, which is pretty rad. A lot of the other factions only get that for like Warlord Traits or something like that. And then you have each time an attack is allocated to a model with this conviction, if the attack has an armor penetration characteristic of -1 or -2, the armor penetration characteristic of the attack is reduced by 1. So that's pretty cool. AP -1 becomes AP 0, and AP -2 becomes AP -1. So making your sisters with their 3-up armor saves a lot more durable, sticking around. So it's a bit of a change, because I knew they used to have it where it's AP -1, and then if you had, if you're in terrain, or if you're by one of the character models, you would get a ignoring AP -2 entirely, which is, it was if you're in terrain and you ignore up to AP -2, you were still at a 2-up armor save. You had to get to AP -3 before you started losing any of that. So pretty cool though. Blind Faith is their stratagem specifically. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Order of the Valorous Heart unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when a Valorous Heart unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of that phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all hit roll, ballistic skill, and weapon skill modifiers. So you can ignore any or all hit roll, ballistic skill, and weapon skill modifiers. So you can ignore any of the minuses, but you don't have to ignore the pluses that you might get for something else. So it's basically just allowing you to so only choose the negative ones that you could ignore, and you get to get the ones that are positive. So pretty cool. I like that for 1 CP, especially if you're going against something that is always going to be a -1 to hit. So if you're going into with Death Guard, they've got a bunch of abilities to make you -1 to hit, so that would be pretty cool to have there. Or if you're shooting into something that's, got -1 to hit, that'd be good. Against Dark Angels with their Dark Shroud, you're ignoring that, so pretty cool for -1. Then their Warlord trait is Impervious to Pain. Each time this Warlord performs an act of faith, it regains 1 lost wound. That's pretty rad. And then each time this Warlord would lose a wound, roll a d6 on a 5+. That wound is not lost. So 5+, feel no pain, and regaining wounds when you perform an act of faith. So pretty awesome. I'm excited to see what the new act of faith stuff does. But yeah, I like that Warlord trait. I think that could be super good. Then you have the Relic, which is a Cask of Penance. Valor's Heart model only, obviously. The bearer has the following ability. It's an aura. While an enemy unit is within 3 inches of the bearer, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of models in that enemy unit. If that unit has the chaos keyword, subtract 1 from its strength characteristic as well. So that's pretty rad. I like that a lot. The -1 to toughness is always really good, especially if you're getting stuck in with a lot of these new close combat sisters. -1 to toughness is going to make a big deal, because a lot of them are strength 3. And, at least it pumps it up there that you're knocking a lot of the average toughness down there to 3 against like Marines and especially against Chaos, because now they're also going to be strength 3. So they're going to be, base, they're going to be wounding you on 4s as opposed to 3s, which is pretty rad. So I like that. Valor's Heart seems pretty good. Now we've got the Order of the Bloody Rose. Each time a unit with this conviction fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, performed heroic intervention this turn, then until that fight is resolved, add 1 to its attacks characteristics for this model in this unit. So +1 to attack. So you basically get shock assault, which is really rad. Trust me, as a Marine player, that becomes that becomes very handy when you're playing there. So having shock assault is really good, especially now with a lot of the new additions to the close combat sisters that they've got going on there, which is awesome. And then each time a model with this conviction makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So +1 to attack, +1 to AP, and +1 attack when you melee attack. So that's pretty cool if they were charged. So all of that fun stuff. So that's super rad. I like that a lot. So it's almost like you're a shock assault during the assault doctrine, except you don't get, I guess, on pistols, but still pretty cool. And then you have tear them down is their stratagem there. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when an Order of the Bloody Rose unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. So that's pretty cool if you're going up against something big and nasty like a bunch of knights or something like that. You can go up there, instead of wounding on 6s, you can now just all 6s will be wounds, which is pretty cool. For 1 CP, it's not bad, especially if you have a big unit with a lot of attacks, because you're getting +1 attack on the charge there, and a -1 AP. So that's not bad for especially if you're going against something big and nasty. Then their Warlord trait, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this Warlord, and this Warlord is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced. So you get advance and charge with a Warlord, which is Blazing Ire is the name of the Warlord trait. Pretty awesome. So very aggressive Bloody Rose, as usual, would be to be expected, but still pretty awesome. And then the Relic is Beneficence, model equipped with a chainsword only, replaces the chainsword, and it becomes Strength +2, AP -2, 1 damage. Each time this bearer fights, it makes 3 additional attacks with this weapon. If there are 6 or more enemy models within 3 inches of the bearer when it is selected to fight, it makes D3 +3 additional attacks with this weapon instead. So possibly +6 attacks, or +7 because you're going on the charge there. And if you have it on your Warlord that has this, so you're going to have a base of, you can have a possible +6, +7, +8 attacks. So at strength +2, AP -2, 1 damage. That's not bad. That's not bad. You can make a real beat stick of a Canoness there with that. That would be sweet to see. I can see them being super effective with that. So just buffing them up and just run them into combat and just saw them, tear people apart with that. That's cool. I like that a lot. I can see this being a lot of fun to play with a lot of very aggressive, very close combat-y sisters going in there. Then we have the Order of the Ebon Chalice here, Daughters of the Emperor. If any units in your army have this conviction, when you are determining which sacred rites are active for your army after you have determined your mission, you cannot randomly select 2 sacred rites. Instead, after you have selected 1 sacred rite, you must then select a second. Both of these sacred rites are active for units from your army from this conviction. Only the first is active for other units from your army with the sacred rites ability. Both these are only both this conviction. Both of these sacred rites are active for units with this conviction. So it's basically if you have multiple orders in your army list. So if you have one order, one detachment of Bloody Rose and 1 detachment of Ebon Chalice, you have to choose 2, but only 1 can be active for Bloody Rose. First one's only active for Bloody Rose, but both of them are going to be active for the Ebon Chalice there. Their stratagem there is called Cleansing Flames for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a unit from your army is selected to shoot, Ebon Chalice unit, until the end of the phase. Add 4 inches to the range of flame weapons that models at this unit are equipped with. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack with a flame weapon on an unmodified wound roll of 4+, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. A maximum of 3 mortal wounds can be inflicted per phase via this stratagem. So maximum of 3 mortal wounds on 4+, which is not bad, because you're also getting 4+. It's half of your attacks that you're going to be getting in there should be giving you mortal wounds in addition to damage. So you can still damage them and you're just getting extra mortal wounds on top. So that's going to be fun to clear out hordes with. Then their Warlord trait is Terrible Knowledge. If this Warlord is on the battlefield, the miracle dice you gain at the start of the first battle round is automatically a 6. While this Warlord is on the battlefield, each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem, you can roll 1d6 on a 5+. That command point is refunded. So getting yourself back on a 5+, CP refund, which is pretty nice. And it's the same thing. It'll be limited to 1 per per round, but that's still fine. Getting back CP is always a nice thing, especially if you use that as like a secondary. If you spend the 1 CP to give it, to give it to a second character, getting back on 5+s, odds are you're going to get at least 1 back, making it a null, and then you get the addition of getting the extra 6 on your the 6 miracle dice, which is pretty good. I mean, not as cool, I think, as some of the other Warlord traits we've seen so far, but I mean, it's always getting back CP is never a bad thing. Then we have the Relic Annunciation of the Creed. Order of Ebon Chalice model equipped with a Condemner bolt gun only replaces it to be it can be a bolt gun, 24 inches, rapid fire 1, strength 4, so basic bolt gun, and then Blessed Stake, which is 24 inches, assault 1, strength 4, AP -2, 2 damage. Before selecting target, select one or both of the profiles above to make attacks with. If you select both, then each time attacks made with this weapon in the phase, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. Each time you select a target for this weapon, ignore the Lookout Sir rule. Each time an attack with this weapon's Blessed Stake profile is allocated to a Psyker model, the model unit suffers 3 mortal wounds in addition to the normal damage. So yeah, you can just pop off Psykers. So if you're going up against maybe like 1,000 Suns. Well, I guess we'll see what they have coming on, but Psyker heavy, lists, like you see a lot of chaos in there. With a lot of Psykers, you could just start popping off Psykers, which is pretty cool. GSC, I'm sure that we'll see how they have their stuff going on, but yeah, popping off Psykers over there because you can do a maximum of 5 damage into Psykers over there, which is not bad at all. So yeah, each time the weapon Blessed Stake is allocated to a Psyker, that model unit. Each time an attack with this weapon's Blessed Stake profile is allocated to a Psyker model, that model unit suffers 3 mortal wounds in addition to the normal damage. It's allocated each time an attack with this weapon's Blessed Stake profile is allocated. So you just have to point it at it. You just have to point it at the Psyker, and they're going to take 3 mortal wounds, and then you could possibly also hit it with the Blessed Stake and then do the 2 damage there for the damage, which is pretty rad. I like that a lot. I think that's gonna be super cool, especially in situations with a lot of Psykers. I mean, obviously, if you're going up against Tau, if you're going up against Admech or something like that, you're not going to have any Psykers to worry about it with. But if you're going up against a Psyker heavy army, all of a sudden you just start popping with 3 mortal wounds into them. Because it can allocate it to a Psyker model. So if you put it at a the 1,000 Suns and they just have their regular sorcerers in their regular units there with Rubric Marines, all of a sudden you're just popping 3 mortal wounds into them, which is pretty rad. I like that a lot. I think that's obviously very specific if you have to be facing Psykers to really make that worth it. But if you are facing Psykers, you just point at them and you're just popping off 3 mortal wounds per turn. So not bad. Then we have the Order of the Ardent Shroud. Deeds, not words. Each time a unit with this conviction makes a normal move or advances in your movement phase until the end of your shooting phase, it counts as having remained stationary. That's pretty fun. So that's pretty cool, especially if you want to advance up with a bunch of like multi-meltas or heavy flamers or something like that. You advance them up, and now they're just counted stationary, so they don't even have the -1 to hit. I guess the heavy flamers, well, no, you can shoot with the heavy flamers because they advanced and they could have shot, which is pretty cool. So moving 12 inches, and then you've got the 12-inch heavy flamer range. You got 24-inch possible range on your heavy flamers that are now going to be hitting anyway. Pretty rad. I like that. And then each time a unit with this conviction is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll or one wound roll when resolving that unit's attack. So 1 hit or 1 wound each time they fight or shoot, which is pretty rad. I like that a lot. And then you have Faith is our shield is their stratagem here. Use a stratagem in any phase when an Order of the Ardent Shroud model from your army would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Until the end of that phase, each time this model or any other model in this unit would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll a d6 and a 4+ that wound is not lost. So for 1 CP, if you're going up against like a Psyker heavy army again, that could be super helpful. All of a sudden, they're just trying to smite you off of an objective. You pop that on, and you have a 50% chance of ignoring any of those mortal wounds that they start spewing at you. So I like that. Then you have their Warlord trait of Selfless Heroism. This Warlord is eligible to perform heroic intervention if it is within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of any enemy unit instead of 3 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically. Each time this Warlord makes a heroic intervention move, it can move up to 6 inches All other rules for heroic interventions still apply. So it just gives you a 6-up heroic intervention, which is always fun. And then you have at the start of the fight phase, if this warlord is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase. So fight first and 6-inch heroic intervention, which is pretty rad. I like that. Then you have the Quicksilver Veil. Ardent Shroud model only. Add 3 inches to the bearer's move characteristic. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So -1 to hit them and 3 inches extra move. So that's pretty rad. I like that a lot. I think that could be super effective if you build up a beat stick of a character. Not quite as beat sticky as the Bloody Rose one would be, but still you could do some cool stuff with that, moving them up there. Then you have the Order of the Sacred Rose over here, Devout Serenity. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this conviction, it is automatically passed. So basically you'd only ever, like Dark Angels with Grim Resolve, you'd only ever lose one model to morale tests, because you lose that morale test and then all of your combat attrition tests are passed, which is cool. And then each time you use a miracle dice when a model or unit with this conviction performs an act of faith, roll 1d6 on a 4+, you gain 1 miracle dice. So basically you could just get back miracle dice as opposed to having to spend it, which is pretty cool. I like that. And then you have their CP. I keep saying their CP. It's their stratagem for 1 CP here. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. When an Order of the Sacred Rose unit from your army is selected to shoot until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made with a ranged weapon by a model in this unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. So +1 hit, which is pretty cool. So this one, the other one would be great if you're going against big baddies. This one would be good if you're going up against hordes of army, because you just want extra hits going in there, which is pretty cool. And then for 1 CP, not bad, especially if you have a lot of shots going in there. Then you have Warlord trait here, Light of the Divine. Once per turn, when this Warlord performs an act of faith, 1 miracle dice used in that act of faith is considered to be a 6, irrespective of its actual value. So you get to count so you can count 1s as 6 using it, which is pretty cool. And then this Warlord has the following ability, Light of the Divine Aura. While a friendly Order of the Sacred Rose core unit is within 6 inches of this Warlord, if that core unit falls back, then it's still eligible to shoot this turn. So not bad. Being able to shoot when you can fall back is really good. Keeps enemies from being able to lock you in. And then you have the Relic Light of Saint Agnathea. Model with a brazier of holy fire only, replaces it, and it becomes assault D6, 12 inches, assault D6, strength, AP, and damage are all stars there. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target, and on an unmodified wound roll of 4+ or 2+ if the target contains any demon models, that target suffers 1 mortal wound and the attack sequence ends. So assault D6 auto hits doing mortal wounds, which is pretty rad. So yeah, pretty good. I like that. I don't think it might be my first choice of one just because of the stuff they have there, but they got some cool stuff that they got going on there. All right, so then you can make your own orders, which is pretty cool. So if you chose an order does not have associated order conviction, instead create your order conviction selecting order minoris convictions from the list here. Unless otherwise stated, your order militant has 2 order minoris convictions from the following list. So we have Shield of Aversion. Each time an attack with an armor penetration characteristic of -1 is allocated to a model with this conviction, the attack has an armor penetration characteristic of 0 instead. So ignoring AP -1. So it's not quite the same as being able to ignore AP -1 and reducing AP2 to -1, but still not bad. That's worked well so far in 8th edition with them. Then you have Hallowed Martyrs. Each time an attack is made with a model in this conviction, if the model's unit is below its starting strength, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So +1 to hit. +1 to hit. Attacks made as a model's conviction. So +1 to hit, yeah, for shooting and for fighting, which is pretty cool, as long as they are not at full strength. And then Conviction of Faith. If every unit from this army that has an order conviction has this conviction, each time you gain a miracle dice, if the value of that dice is a 1, you can re-roll that dice before adding it to your miracle dice pool. So that's asking you to basically have only 1 conviction in your list. But if you do so, you can re-roll 1s on your miracle dice, which is always a good thing to have. Devout Fanaticism. Each time a unit with this conviction fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, then until the fight is resolved, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. You cannot select this conviction if you have already selected the Holy Wrath conviction. See right. So we'll get to that in a second. Unit conviction fights, it makes a charge move. So if it charged, was charged, blah, 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 you get +1 to hit, which is pretty cool. Ask Space Wolves about that. And then you have Guided by the Emperor's Will. Each time a unit in this conviction is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll when resolving the unit's attack. So that's pretty cool. Always fun to have that ability. Save CP for having to do that. And then Holy Wrath. Each time a model with this conviction makes a melee attack, if that model unit charge move, charged, or performed heroic intervention, improve the attack's armor penetration characteristic by 1. So you can't double that up with the Devout Fanaticism. So you can get +1 to hit and an additional -1. You just get extra -1, which is always good. I mean, that's nice to have, especially if you're doing a very aggressive, again, close combi army, which they've put a bunch of new units that allow you to smash face with. So that's pretty fun. In the Footsteps of Saints, you cannot select this order Minoris conviction if you have selected any other order Minoris conviction, and if you select this conviction, you cannot select a second. Select one of the following orders. Use the order's conviction of the order militant you selected as listed in 58 through 63. If a character model from this conviction gains a warlord trait, they can have an order militant warlord trait associated with the order militant. This basically just allows you... You're basically just choosing one of the other ones, but you don't have to name it that one. So you can be essentially Bloody Rose. You could just be like the Bloody Tulips, and because that's the way you want to do with your theme. That's where you have like the backstory. You've developed a whole separate order that you've got going on here, but they've got all of the abilities of the Bloody Rose, but the Bloody Tulips are specifically the Bloody Tulips. And now you've got them that they can just basically be the Bloody Rose without having to be called the Bloody Rose. So, I mean, basically this just allows you to be fluff compliant, which is nice. And then you have over here on the next page, Perfivid Belief? Perfivid Belief? I think that's the word. That's what it's saying there. I'm not sure. I've never seen Perfivid. But anyway, each time a model or unit with this conviction performs an act of faith, you can first discard 1 miracle dice. If you do so, 1 miracle dice you use in that act of faith is considered to be a 6, irrespective of the actual value. So basically, you can discard a miracle dice to turn another one into a 6 for you. That's not bad, especially if you're getting a lot of miracle dice. That's not bad. Then you have Purifying Recitations. Each time a Deny the Witch test is taken on a unit with this conviction, add 3 to the result. This is not cumulative with any other rule that adds to the result of a Deny the Witch test, e.g. Pure of Will. So yeah, +3 to your Deny the Witch, which is not bad. Especially since I think a lot of them are on 1d6, so that now gives you the ability to deny up to 8. So that's pretty good. Raging Fervor. Each time a model with this conviction makes an attack with a Melta weapon, the target of that attack is considered to be within half range of the purpose of the weapon's abilities if that weapon has the pistol or assault type. Oh, that's pretty good. And then a weapon has the heavy type and the target unit is within 18 inches of the firing model. So, oh man, 18 inch getting the half range for that. That's pretty cool. You cannot select this conviction if you've already selected either the Rites of Fire or Unshakable Vengeance. Rites of Fire, getting to it right away here. Add 4 inches to the range of all flame weapons that models with this conviction are equipped with. You cannot select this. Oh, so they're not allowing you to have awesome Melta and awesome Flamers. You have to choose one or the other if you want to. So extra 4 inches to flame weapons, especially now that they bumped them up to 12. You're looking at 16-inch flame weapons. Oof, that's nice. I like that. Auto hits at 16 inches. I'll take it. And then you have Righteous Suffering. Each time an attack is made against a unit with this conviction, an unmodified wound roll of 1 through 2 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making the attack may have. So basically, it's a little bit worse transhumans here. It's only on 1 or 2 as opposed to 1, 2, or 3. So still pretty good because there's a lot more things out there that are strength 6 than are strength 8. So you're looking at a lot more models that are going to be wounding a sister on a 2+, as opposed to Marine on a 2+. So pretty good there. I like that. I mean, anything that makes it harder for your opponent to take you off the board is the better, because you're trying to sit on objectives, you're trying to stay on the table, you're trying to do what you need to do to get those secondaries. That's how this game works now in 9th edition. So pretty good. And then you got Slayers of Heretics. Each time a model with this conviction makes an attack against a character unit, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So +1 to hit against characters. That's pretty good against character-heavy armies like Genestealer Cult or something like that. Doing pretty good stuff there. And then you have Unbridled, although, I mean, there's some way better ones that I think they've got here than that one. Unbridled Valor. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit with this conviction, add 1 to the combat attrition test. So you're adding 1 to it. You're not ignoring it. I guess if you're above full strength, or if you're above half strength, you can't fail it because you're adding 1. So even if you roll a 1, that becomes a 2. So you can't fail at full strength or at above half strength. But once you go below half strength, you can still fail on a 1. So it's not bad. That's not bad. It's like I said, it's slightly weakened from the ones that just have you auto pass them, but not by much, honestly. It's until you get a half strength that you can't lose anybody to attrition, which is not bad. And then you have Unshakable Vengeance. Each time a model with this conviction makes an attack with a bolt weapon, you can ignore any and all hit roll and ballistic skill modifiers. You cannot select this conviction if you've already selected Raging Fervor or Rites of Fire. So you can't have awesome bolters, awesome melta, and awesome flamers, or you can't have 2 of those 3. You have to choose one or the other out of all of these. So I think the melta one might win, because that's really rad what they've got you going on there. So Raging Fervor, I think, would be my choice of the 3, probably followed by Rites of Fire and then Unshakable Vengeance after that. And then you have Witch Hunters. Each time a model with this conviction makes a melee attack against a Psyker unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the melee attack is made against a Psyker character unit, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. So rerolling hits of 1 and wounds of 1 against Psyker characters, and just against Psyker units, reroll hit rolls of 1. So again, really cool, and specifically if you're going against like Psyker heavy armies. So if you're playing against Thousand Suns or something, that becomes super effective. All right, so let's go over their stratagems now. So we've got Cleansed by Fire here. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army, 2CP here. Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army is chosen to shoot with until the end of that phase. When a model in that unit shoots with a flame weapon, do not roll to determine the number of attacks made with this weapon. Instead, the maximum number of attacks are made with this weapon, e.g., 6 attacks are made with a heavy D6 weapon. So that's pretty cool for 2CP, especially if you've got a unit with a whole bunch of flavors in it, and then you've got the extra 4 inches. So now it's 16 inches. You're doing a full 6 hits. That's pretty cool. I like that. Then you have Embodied Prophecy. Use the stratagem in your fight phase for 2CP. Use the stratagem in your fight phase. Select 1 Zephyrum squad unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So +1 to wound for Zephyrum for 2CP. Not bad, especially if you have a big unit, once again, because they don't specify unit size. So it's not like 5, less than 5 and more than 5 having more to spend there. 1 CP for Exceptional Proficiency. Use the strategy in your shooting phase when a Celestine unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when a Celestine unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So +1 to hit. So it's +1 to wound for the Zephyrum, but now you have +1 to hit for Celestine in shooting or in the fight phase. So that's pretty cool. I like that for 1 CP. Yeah, that's not bad. I use that all the time. They have like the Fury of the First and stuff like that, where for Space Marines, where you can give your Terminators +1 to hit, especially if you got fists. It's always nice. But for these girls, you get them a +1 to hit there. It's pretty rad. Then you have Extremist Trigger Ward for 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when an Arco-Flagellants unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, change the ability of all Arco-Flails models in that unit are equipped with to the following. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, make 3 hit rolls instead of 1. At the end of the phase, roll 1d6 for each model in that unit. For each one, that model in that unit is destroyed. So you're blowing them up on 1s, but you're basically just like pumping them full of stims, and some of them get burnt out at the end of it. So that's not bad. Having 3 hits instead of 1 for each attack, which is pretty good for them. Well, I guess we'll see in a bit what it changes it from, but for 1 CP, I don't see that being super bad. Suffer Not the Witch for 1 CP here. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when an Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against a Psyker unit, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. If the attack is made against a Ministorum is made by an Adeptus Ministorum character model, add 1 to the attack's hit roll and add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So +1 to hit and wound for characters, +1 to hit for regular units. Pretty good. And then Divine Intervention here for 2 CP. Use the stratagem when Adepta Sororitas character model, excluding named characters. So no, you can't use your Lord of Terror there for this. From your army is destroyed. Instead of using any rules that are triggered when a model is destroyed, you use Sacrifice, page 91. Discard 1 to 3 Miracle Dice at the end of the phase. Set that model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of any enemy models. The models return to play with a number of wounds remaining equal to the number of miracle dice you discarded. You cannot use this stratagem if you do not have any miracle dice remaining. The stratagem can only be used once per battle. So once per battle, you can bring back a character model that's not a named character, and you determine how many wounds they have left. So you're not rolling D3 to see what they've got there. You are spending miracle dice to give them wounds back. So you can spend 1 if that's all you have, or that's all you need. You just need them around for like that one next turn. You just have them there. You've got the 1 CP, the 1 miracle dice that you spend and get them there. It's pretty good. Or you can put 3 miracle dice and now they're back to 3 wounds, which is pretty rad. Fiery Order for 1 CP here. Use the stratagem at the start of any of your phases other than your command phase. Select 1 Adeptus Ministorum Priest model from your army that has not intoned a hymn this turn. That model can intone 1 hymn that it knows that has not already been intoned by a friendly model this turn. That hymn is automatically inspiring, do not roll, and takes effect until the start of your next command phase. So this is sort of like the one that the chaplains have in Space Marines that allows them to just auto do a one of their canonical whatever, I can't remember the name of what they do, but it allows you to do that. I guess we'll get into what they do here in a bit, but that allows them to auto have it happen, and it happens any time. So you can get out of after you've disembarked from a transport, you can spend the CP at the end of that movement phase and have it pop onto a unit out there. So it's like it's sort of like what you would use it for the chaplains with jump packs when they arrive after the movement phase. You would spend it to allow them to do it. So that's pretty good for 1 CP. I guess it will depend upon what their hymns do, but for 1 CP that's not bad. Martyr's Immolation, used for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in any phase when an immolator model from your army that is equipped with immolation flamers is destroyed. Do not roll to see if the model explodes. It does so automatically. So auto blow up for 1 CP, your immolators. Pretty rad. That's always fun. It's always a fun thing to do. Be like, oh, you killed it. Well, now it's blowing up inside the middle of all those guys that you used to charge it. So that's always fun to have there for 1 CP. In the back pocket, just pop it out and be like, boop, didn't expect that, did you? Then you have Rites of Restoration for 1 CP. Use this stratagem at the end of the movement phase. Select 1 Hospitaller unit from your army, and then select 1 friendly Adeptus Ministorum Core Infantry unit that is not at the starting strength and is within 3 inches of that Hospitaller unit. Up to D3 of the selected friendly units destroyed models are returned to the unit with its full wounds remaining. So that's cool. For 1 CP, you can bring back 3 models. So Space Marines get back 1. You can get back 3 models. So that's pretty awesome. I like that a lot. And I guess it's core infantry, so it's probably not going to be the suits or anything like that, but you can still bring back, like a devastated Dominion squad or something like that. Just pop them back and bring it back. I like that. Or Celestians. Poof, I like that a lot. I think that's a lot of fun for 1 CP. Not bad at all. Then you have 1 CP for Martyred. Yeah, that makes... Oh, man, I really like that Rites of Restoration. That's a good one. I guess you could get back 1, but you could also get back 3, and on average, you're going to get back 2. Then you have Martyred here for 1 CP. Use this stratagem when you gain a miracle dice due to sacrifice. You gain 1 additional miracle dice if the model that was destroyed was an Adepta Sororitas Warlord from your army. Instead, gain D3 plus 1 additional miracle dice. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Just getting back miracle dice, because it looks like, same thing with you have divine intervention here. It looks like they might have more ways to use those miracle dice, which is fun. Moment of Grace here. Use this stratagem after making a hit roll or wound roll for an attack made by an Adepta Sororitas model from your army, or after making a saving throw for an Adepta Sororitas model from your army. Discard 1 to 2 miracle dice from your miracle dice pool. Add 1 to the result for the roll for each miracle dice you discarded. You cannot use this stratagem if you do not have any miracle dice remaining. So you can get up to +2 on your roll, which is pretty rad. I like that a lot. It could be the difference between, you've got that one roll that you need to make to save your warlord from dying there, and you roll your armor save and you missed it by 1, and now you can just spend some miracle dice and get it back, so you can keep them alive for that save. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Again, a different way of using miracle dice in conjunction with stratagems. So. Suffering and Sacrifice. Use the stratagem in the fight phase. Select an Adepta Sororitas Warlord, Saint Potentia, or Living Saint unit from your army, excluding vehicle units. Until the end of the phase, that unit is known as your Suffering unit. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is selected to fight, if a model in that enemy unit is within engagement range of your Suffering unit, then when your opponent is selecting targets for its attacks, those attacks can only target your Suffering unit. So it's sort of like what the Blood Angels have, where the character can just basically take all the attacks onto themselves, because presumably you've buffed them up with like a Feel No Pain or like a great invul save or an armor save or something like that, and you could just take all the attacks onto you and just tank them out so that your other units don't suffer the attacks, which is not bad. For 1 CP, not bad. Open the Reliquaries, and then a Sacred Burden. I think all of these are the same Saints in the Making. Yeah, so the top ones are just give yourself another Warlord trait, and then give yourself another Relic. And then you have Saint in the Making. Use this strategy before the battle. If you're mustering your army, your Warlord has the Adeptus Mistorum keyword. Select 1 Adeptus Mistorum character model from your army, excluding named characters, and determine 1 Warlord trait. So it gives them this model is only regarded as your Warlord. That's the extra Warlord trait. Open the Reliquaries is going to be the extra Relic, and a Sacred Burden. Battle select 1 Adepta Sororitas model, excluding character models in your army that has the word superior in the profile. The model can have one of the following relics. Oh, so the Sacred Burden gives a relic to basically one of your sergeants there in the unit, which is pretty cool. Saints in the Making gives you an extra Warlord trait, the usual stuff there. Then you have Angelic Ascent here. Use this 1 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of your movement phase. Select 1 Adepta Sororitas Jump Pack unit from your army. Remove that unit from the battlefield. In the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, you can set this unit back up in the battlefield anywhere that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So basically just allows you to return to the heavens to drop Deep Strike again the next turn for 1 CP. Not bad. It would be pretty cool to just bump them out of, if you got them stuck in combat and you don't want them there, you can pop them out. Or if you killed something on one side of the board and you don't feel like running them all the way to the other end of the board, you can just pull them up and then drop them down next turn. Battle Rites here for 1 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of your battle round if your Warlord has the Adepta Sororitas keyword and is on the battlefield. Roll 1d6 to randomly generate a Sacred Rite. Roll again if the result of the Sacred Rite is the current active in your army. Then you can select 1 Sacred Rite that is currently active for your army and replace it with the result that you just rolled. The replaced Sacred Rite is no longer active for your army, and the Sacred Rite just rolled becomes active for your army. You can only use the stratagem once. So you're basically replacing one of your Sacred Rites there. Then you have Deadly Descent. Use a stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 Seraphim Squad unit from your army that was set up as reinforcement battlefield turn. The unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. So drop down and shoot, which is always fun. Deathwing have that ability, which is pretty cool. Nice to use if you got a bunch of weapons. So drop down a Seraphim Squad, especially if you give them the one with like the flamers have the 4 extra inches there. So you could drop down with flame pistols and just clear out a swarm of people. Or you could drop them down with the Melta, and you have the extra Melta shots that you can attack there, which is pretty cool. Just drop them down and boom, shot. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Deadly Descent. And then you have Defenders of the Faith for 2 CP. Use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 Sisters Battle Squad unit from your army that is within range of an objective mark on the battlefield. Until the start of your next movement phase, instead of following the normal rules for rapid-fire weapons, models units shooting rapid-fire bolt weapons make double the number of attacks. For the purposes of this stratagem, a rapid-fire bolt weapon is any bolt weapon, as defined in page 121, with the rapid-fire type. Each time an attack is made against this unit, an unmodified wound roll of 1 through 3 for the attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making the attack may have. So for 2 CP, you give a unit the ability to rapid fire regardless of whether they're in half range or anything, and you give that unit the ability to just have transhuman physiology, which is pretty cool. Granted, you have to do it at the end of your movement phase, so basically you have to choose after you do the movement. You're like, well, this unit here, I'm going to need them to do some great work with their bolters, or I'm going to need them to just really tank it out and hold that objective because I need that objective held. So I'm just going to pop it on here. So they give them transhuman physiology, which is not bad. For 2 CP, yeah, not bad. It's tough because you need to know. You have to try to think about what your opponent's going to do on their turn because you have to do it in your movement phase. So a bit difficult for 2 CP. It could very easily just amount to nothing, but yeah, not bad. And then you have Desperate for Redemption here. Use this stratagem for 2 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Sister Repentia unit from your army is targeted with a melee attack. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model is not has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks. After doing so, any other rules that affect this model when it is destroyed are triggered, if any, and then the model is removed from play. So for 2 CP, you get to guarantee that your Repentia get to attack. So if you charge them into, say, a Death Guard squad, and they've got that ability that says you can't use your fight first ability, and you can't, or you have to fight last, or whatever it is, you guarantee that they're going to get attacks in. And it also doesn't replace any of the other ones that trigger about fighting at the end. So if you have an ability that allows you to fight again, if when a model dies, like on a 4+ or something like that from a banner or whatever, it allows you to do that as well as this. So they'll fight and then get to fight again, which is pretty rad. I like that. Guaranteeing that the Repentia are going to get to fight is huge, because the number of times that Repentia are not great at taking punches. They're really great at giving punches. But if you can guarantee that they'll be able to land a blow, then boom, that's awesome. I like that for 2 CP. Great. Devastating Refrain for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when your Exorcist model from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, that model's Exorcist missile launcher or Exorcist conflagration rockets can target units that are not visible to the bearer. So ignoring line of sight for 2 CP on the Exorcist, which is pretty good. I like that a lot. I can't remember. Did they have ignoring line of sight? I don't think they had ignoring line of sight in the last book. So regardless, for 2 CP, giving them the ability to do so is pretty rad for being able to clear out a unit that is, like a squad of just nurglings or whatever that are sitting in the back line on an objective around, behind obscuring terrain or something like that. Ability to just be like, boop, and just pop them off is great. Holy Rage for 1 CP or 2 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select one Adepta Sororitas core unit from your army. Until the start of your next command phase, the unit gains either the Zealot ability or the Fanatic ability as shown below. Zealot, each time a model of this unit makes a melee attack. If this unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed Hurricane Intervention this turn, you can reroll the attack's hit roll. Or Fanatic, this unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. If that unit is within 6 inches of Adeptus Ministorum Priest model from this, when this stratagem is used, the stratagem costs 1 CP. Otherwise, it costs 2 CP. So 1 CP within range of a priest, 2 CP if not. And it allows you choose one or the start of your next command phase until the start of your next command phase. That unit gains either the Zealot ability or the Fanatic ability as shown below. So you can choose it. So if you fell back and want to charge again, you can choose it to be the Fanatic ability. Or if you're just going to regularly charge whatever, you can just have it with the Zealot ability. So pretty good for 1 CP with a priest, 2 CP without a priest. I think priests seem like they've got a lot more going on with them. So we'll see what happens here as we go on further. Then Purity of Faith for 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your opponent's psychic phase after a psychic test is passed for an enemy psyker. after a psychic test is passed for an enemy psyker unit, and after any deny the witch attempt is made, if any. If that enemy psyker unit is within 24 inches of any Adepta Sororitas unit from your army, roll 1d6 on a 4+, that psychic power is denied. So, for 1 CP, you can deny a psychic test, psychic power on a 4+, after you've tried to deny it. So you can try to deny it, and if that fails, then on a 4+ for 1 CP, you can just cancel it out, which is really rad. Because there's a lot of psychic powers that are big linchpins for armies that if you can make it not work, they really suffer hard for it. So that's pretty awesome. Hydrating. Then you have Faith and Fury for 1 CP. Use the stratagem after an Adepta Sororitas unit from your army has performed the act of faith. An act of faith. For an attack's hit roll. So perform an act of faith for an attack's hit roll. You can reuse the same miracle dice for the attack's wound roll. This does not count as having performed another act of faith. Oh, so okay. So if you use the act of faith to reroll a die, or use the act of faith to make an attack roll make a hit, an auto hit, then you can also use it for 1 CP to have it wound at, or like have it hit at a miracle dice, and then have it wound at that same miracle dice, and it doesn't count as having performed 2 acts of faith. It's just 1 act of faith, and that same die is getting to use for it. So if you use a 6 to hit, you now have a 6 to wound, which is really rad. Final Redemption here for 1 CP. And for 1 CP, that's not bad, especially if you need to land that final blow or something like that. Final Redemption here for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in the fight phase when an Engine of Redemption unit from your army is targeted by a melee attack until the end of the phase. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, roll 1d6 on a 4+ after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks. It suffers D3 mortal wounds. So it's basically they can explode on a 4+, but it only affects the enemy, which is really rad. I like that a lot. So it's just basically they flail as they fall down to slay some people. For 1 CP, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Use the stratagem in the fight phase, so you can use it. So if say you have like a bunch of them just get charged by a bunch of the enemy, and you know that they're just going to be slaughtered, you pop it off, and now you're doing D3 mortal wounds on 4+, which is pretty cool. Judgment of the Faithful here. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. When an Adepta Sororitas core unit from your army falls back, that unit is still eligible to shoot this turn, even though it fell back. So being able to shoot when you fall back for 1 CP, that's really cool. I like that a lot. It's always super helpful as Dark Angels. We have that Indomitable, and it's more than 1 CP, I think, when we spend it. So super effective. I think that's really cool. I like that. And then 1 CP for Righteous Impact. Use the stratagem in your charge phase when a Paragon War Suits or Engines of Redemption unit from your army finishes a charge move. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of your unit and roll 1d6 for each model in your unit that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. For each dice roll result that equals or exceeds that enemy unit's toughness characteristic, it suffers 1 mortal wound. For each unmodified roll of a 6, that enemy unit instead suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You get to charge in and just do some Hammer of Wrath attacks, basically, wounds into them over there, which is pretty cool. Then you have Blessed Bolts here for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adepta Sororitas unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made with an artificer crafted Stormbolter or a model in that unit. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made with an artificer crafted Stormbolter by a model in that unit. On an unmodified hit roll of 6, the target suffers 2 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. A maximum of 6 mortal wounds can be inflicted per phase via this stratagem. So for 1 CP, doing 2 mortal wounds on 6s to hit with a blessed. So if you get really lucky and you get all 4, I guess, with that Stormbolter, Mastercrafted Stormbolter, you could only do a maximum of 6 mortal wounds, which is not bad. But then I guess you would roll for the one other one. So, but not bad. And then you got Holy Smokescreen for 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When Adepta Sororitas smoke screen unit from your army is selected as the target of attack until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is made against this unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So you get the pop smoke like we do with the Space Marines. Holy Trinity here for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase. When an Adepta Sororitas unit from your army is selected to shoot, select 1 eligible target for that unit that is within range of and visible to at least 1 model in that unit equipped with a bolt weapon
one model that is equipped with a flame weapon, and one model that is equipped with a melter weapon. Until the end of the phase, models in that unit can only make attacks that target that enemy unit, but each time an attack is made with a bolt weapon, a flame weapon, or a melter weapon, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So +1 to wound for the Holy Trinity into a unit, which is not bad for 1 CP. I like that. And then you have Inviolate. So you can use that a bunch of different ways. If you just want to like mow down a bunch of guys, you get the +1 to wound. Or if you've got like a really tough model that you're trying to shoot there and really only care about the melta weapons doing their business, you can just, you can do something like that, get +1 to wound. So instead of wounding tough 8 models on 4s, you're now wounding them on 3s, which is super good. Anyway, Inviolate Shield Wall for 1 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select one Celestian Sacrosanct or Crusaders unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the attack's wound roll. So -1 to wound against Sacrosancts or Crusaders for 1 CP. Not bad. I like that. And then Thrice Blessed Hull. Use this for 1 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of your opponent's psychic phase. Select one Hollowed model from your army. Until the end of the phase, that model gains the following ability: Thrice Blessed Hull. When an enemy Psyker unit is within 12 inches of this model, each time a psychic test is taken for that unit and that test is failed, that Psyker unit suffers Perils of the Warp. So, pretty good. Making them auto take Perils of the Warp when they fail for 1 CP. Not bad. I like it. So now we're moving on here to Blessings of the Faithful. If your army is battle forged and includes any Adepta Sororitas detachments, excluding auxiliary support, super heavy auxiliary, and fortification network detachments, then when you are mustering your army, you can upgrade any Canoness or Palatine models in your army by giving them 1 Blessing of the Faithful. So basically, get to upgrade your main characters, like the Space Marines have had their ability to do so. Chosen from the presented here. Each time you give a model a Blessing of the Faithful, its power rating is increased by the amount shown in the table below. If you are playing a match play game or a game that uses points limits, then the points value of the model is also increased by the amount shown on the same table. Make a note in your army roster each time you do so. So they have Word of the Emperor for +2 power and +40 points. Rapturous Blows +1 power, +25 points. Blinding Radiance +2 power, +30 points. The Emperor's Grace +1 power, +20 points. Righteous Judgment +1 power, +25 points. And Divine Deliverance +1 power, +15 points. Named characters cannot be given Blessings of the Faithful. Each model can only have 1 Blessing of the Faithful. An army or a crusade force cannot include the same Blessing of the Faithful more than once. Crusade force cannot start with any models having the Blessing of the Faithful to include them. Blah blah blah. Each Blessing of the Faithful has 2 associated abilities. The first is the ability that the model with this Blessing of the Faithful gains. The second is a miraculous ability. To use a Blessing of the Faithful's miraculous ability, you must, in your command phase, first discard 1 miracle dice. That ability is then activated and lasts until the start of your next command phase. Each miraculous ability can only be activated once per battle, and you cannot activate more than 1 miraculous ability per battle round. Miraculous abilities affect enemy models or units within miracle range. This is determined by the value of the miracle dice that is discarded, as shown in the table below. Note that while similar to in many regards to aura abilities, miraculous abilities are not affected by abilities that affect aura abilities, and vice versa. So that's pretty cool. So these abilities are not shut down by like Mortarion or something like that. You can you will be able to use them against them. They don't get to shut down your aura abilities. Which is rad, because I guess the whole point is that you're spending a lot of points to be able to use these, and if you use them and then they shut them down on you, it's kind of lame. So they look and feel like aura abilities, but they are not aura abilities, so they can't be shut down by aura shutting abilities. So that's pretty cool. And I guess also are not affected by abilities that affect aura abilities, or vice versa. So they do not affect aura abilities. They're not affected by. Yes, you can't increase their range using things that increase aura abilities, and you can't be denied using them by things that deny aura abilities. So if you discard a miracle dice of 1, you get a miracle range of 1 inch. If you discard a miracle dice of 2 through 5, it's 3 inches, and a 6 is 6 inches. So pretty cool. So let's go as follows. Word of the Emperor. So this is the one that's plus 2 power and plus 40 points. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit within 3 inches of the model. That unit is not eligible to fight this phase until after all eligible units. So fight last is always going to be ability. So you can always choose that. You can always use that in every fight phase with them. And then you have the miraculous abilities. While an enemy unit is within miracle range of this model, each time a model is of a friendly order core or order character unit makes a melee attack against the enemy unit, invulnerable saving throws cannot be made against that attack. So taking away invul saves is super cool. That's super effective. If you have a bunch of like high AP and you run into something like Deathwing Knights or something, and they've got their 4-up invul save that they're just stacking behind, you pop that, and all of a sudden that goes away, and it's just like, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna be hoping that my armor holds out. So pretty cool. I like that a lot. And for 40 points. I mean, it better be good for 40 points. And I think it does good, especially for like Order of the Bloody Rose or anything that you're really being aggressive and very close combat-y with. I think that could be super great for. Then you have Rapturous Blows. This is going to be plus 1 power and plus 25 points. Add 1 to the strength and damage characteristics of all melee weapons this model is equipped with, excluding relics. So no relics get popped up, but still, that's pretty cool. And then you've got the miraculous ability. While a friendly order core or order character unit is within miracle range of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to the normal damage. So popping it and making mortal wounds. So if you have a lot of attacks going in, that could be super helpful. Divine Deliverance here. This is the one that's going to be... Divine Deliverance is plus 1 power, plus 15 points. At the start of your opponent's command phase, select one enemy unit within 6 inches of this model, and select one aura ability that unit has. Roll 3d6. If the result is equal to or greater than the enemy unit's leadership characteristic, then until the start of your opponent's next command phase, that enemy unit loses that aura ability. So you get to shut down auras with this one, which is not bad at all, within 6 inches. And then miraculous ability, while a friendly order core or character model is within miracle range of this model, each time that model makes a ranged attack, if that attack causes an enemy model to be destroyed until the end of that turn, subtract 1 from the enemy unit's leadership characteristic. A unit's leadership characteristic cannot be reduced by more than 3 as a result of the miraculous ability. So if you killed 3 enemy models in a unit that were within miracle range of this when this popped off, they would be leadership -3, and they've lost 3 models. That could be super effective, especially trying to clear them off there and make them fail a morale test and go bye-bye. Then you have the Emperor's Grace. That is going to be plus 1 power, plus 20 points here. At the start of each of your command phases, this model is healed and regains D3 lost wounds. Each model can only be healed once per turn. So you can heal once per turn D3 wounds, which is really rad. Always healing characters is always a super good ability, and especially there for, what is that, plus 20 points? Not bad at all. And then their miraculous abilities, while a friendly order core or character unit is within miracle range of this model, each time an attack is made against that unit, your opponent cannot reroll the hit rolls, cannot reroll the wound roll, and cannot reroll the damage rolls. So not bad. It makes, canceling out rerolls is a big deal. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And then you have Righteous Judgment. This one is going to be plus 1 power, plus 25 points. Each time you select a target for this model's ranged weapons, you can ignore the Lookout Sir rule. Each time this model makes a ranged attack, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. So Righteous Judgment makes some character sniping there, which is pretty cool. And then their miraculous ability is while a friendly order core or order character model is within miracle range of this model, each time that model makes a ranged attack, the target does not receive the benefits of cover against attack. So ignoring cover for the models within miracle range of them. So that's pretty cool. I like that, especially if you've got like a gun line, you just want to pop some characters. I like it. Then you have Blinding Radiance, which is going to be there for plus 2 power, plus 30 points. Each time a ranged attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from the attack's wound roll. So -1 to wound from ranged attacks, which is pretty cool. And then Miraculous Ability, while a friendly core or character unit is within miracle range of this model, each time a ranged attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So -1 to hit, which is pretty cool. And because they would also be friendly character units, so they would be able to benefit from all these miracle abilities as well. Miraculous abilities as well. So -1 to hit for that one turn that they can use that, and then -1 to wound, which is pretty cool. Or -1 to wound for that character for the whole game. Those are cool. I like those upgrades a lot. I think they're a lot of fun. I think there's things that you could use to really make them pretty rad. And I think that in Ninth Edition especially, a lot of characters are doing a lot of work, and I think these abilities really bump them up to being super super good units to be able to use that stuff. So I like it. Warlord Traits. Let's see what we got going on here. So we've got Inspiring Order. Each time this Warlord intones a hymn or uses an ability in your command phase that specifies a range, you can add 3 inches to the range of that hymn or ability. This does not affect the miracle range of any abilities. So again, it does not affect your miraculous abilities there, but it does give you extra aura and hymn abilities, extra 3 inches, which is pretty cool. This Warlord has the following ability, Inspiring Order. While a friendly Order core unit is within 6 inches of this Warlord, that unit ignores combat attrition penalty for being below half strength. So that's cool, especially if you pile that on top of the Order abilities that we talked about, where you have +1 to those rolls. So now you're not -1. That means that you're essentially just you're ignoring the attrition abilities because you can't fail, which is pretty cool. Righteous Rage. Each time this Warlord makes a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. Oh, that's cool. Rerolling hit rolls and wound rolls for all of their attacks in melee, which is pretty cool. So you can pop that onto like a Bloody Rose, that Bloody Rose character that we talked about with that sweet chainsword. So now you've got like +8 attacks on the charge, and you're going to be re-rolling them all and re-rolling the wounds on them all. Oof, I like that. I like that a lot. Then you have Executioner of Heretics. It's an aura. While this enemy unit is within 6 inches of this Warlord, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of models in that unit. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for that unit, subtract 1 from the combat attrition test. So, making them more likely to fail that, which is pretty cool. And then you got Beacon of Faith. At the start of the command phase, if this Warlord is on the battlefield, you gain 1 miracle dice. The miracle dice can only be used when your Warlord performs an act of faith or use a miraculous ability. And if not used by the start of your next command phase, it is discarded. This miracle dice can be used to perform an act of faith, even if another unit from your army has already performed an act of faith this phase. So it gives your Warlord an extra miracle dice that they can use, which is not bad. Indomitable Belief here in Aura. While a friendly Order core infantry unit within 6 inches of the Warlord, the invulnerable save models in that unit receive from the Shield of Faith ability is improved by 1 to a maximum of 4+. So pretty cool. And then Pure of Will. This Warlord can attempt to deny 1 additional psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase, as described in the Shield of Faith ability. Add 3 to the Deny the Witch test taken for this Warlord. So not bad at all. And then the characters, Astrid Thurga has to take the Beacon of Faith, Celestine Indomitable Belief, Ephrael Stern, Executioner of Heretics, Junith Erita, I can't pronounce that one, I apologize, Inspiring Order, Morvin Val, Righteous Rage, and Triumph of St. Catherine is Pure of Will. So they got 1 for each, which is pretty cool. Now you've got the Hymns of Battle. All Adeptus Ministorum priests know War Hymn, see below. In addition, before the battle, generate the additional hymns, if any, for priest models from your army that know hymns from the Hymns of Battle using the table below. If the priest model has the Adepta Sororitas keyword, you can either roll 1d6 to generate each hymn randomly, re-rolling any duplicate rolls, or you can select which hymn the priest model knows. If the priest model has the Cult Imperialis keyword, you can either roll 1d3 to generate hymns randomly, rerolling duplicates, or you can select one of the following hymns that they know. Refrain of Blazing Piety, Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude, and Psalm of Righteous Smiting. So all of them are gonna know War Hymn, and then they're going to, if you have the Cult Imperialis, which I imagine is just gonna be like the priests, they're gonna have that. But if you have Adepta Sororitas priests, they're going to be able to do all of them. So you're limited if you don't have Adepta Sororitas priests. So War Hymn, if this hymn is inspiring, select one friendly Adeptus Ministorum core, Adeptus Ministorum character, or Engine of Redemption unit within 6 inches of this priest model. Until the start of your next command phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of models in that unit. Oh, add 1 to the attack characteristics. That's pretty good. +1 attack. I like that a lot. I know that priests were able to do that previously, but now it looks like you're going to have more access to that, which is fun. Then you have refrain of blazing. I guess now you have to roll for it, which is what I guess they used to really depend upon that for the priests running up with the Repentia. So, we'll also have to check and make sure that they have Adeptus Ministorum core. They probably will, right? They probably will. Or engine. They're not going to be Engine of Redemption, but we'll find out. And then you have refrain of blazing piety. If this hymn is inspiring, select one enemy unit that is within 12 inches of and visible to the priest model. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If that unit has the chaos keyword, instead suffers 3 mortal wounds. So popping out mortal wounds, which is always fun, especially since since the sisters don't have any psychers, having the ability to pop out mortal wounds is a good thing to have. It's basically you get smite, and it's super smite or doing 3 mortal wounds if it's chaos. So then we move on to Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude here. If this hymn is inspiring, select one friendly Adeptus Ministorum core, Adeptus Ministorum character, or Engine of Redemption unit within 6 inches of the priest model. If that unit or its models are being affected by any psychic powers manifested by enemy models, the effects of those psychic powers on that unit and its models end. Okay, so it stops them being affected by psychic powers. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit and the models it contains are not affected by any psychic powers manifested by enemy units. So that's pretty cool. Denying the ability to do psychic abilities onto them, which is cool. Psalm of Righteous Smiting. If this hymn is inspiring, add 1 to the priest model's strength and attacks characteristic. Ooh, making it a beat stick. Improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons this priest model is equipped with by 1, excluding relics. At the end of the fight phase, if this priest model is in engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight 1 additional time. 1 additional time. Ooh, that's fun. Especially we'll have to see if we can make some of that. You remember I was talking about that Bloody Rose beat stick model that you can get the plus 8 attacks in over there? We'll find out if one of them can do this as well. Because if you have that, you get to fight twice, and you're gonna have plus additional AP, and you get +1 attack and strength. You're gonna have +9 attacks. Oh, we're gonna find out if we can do that with a chainsword. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Litany of Enduring Faith. If this hymn is inspiring, select one friendly Adepta Sororitas core or Adepta Sororitas character unit within 6 inches of this priest model. That invulnerable save models in this unit receive from the Shield of Faith ability is improved by 1 to a maximum of 4+. So +1 to their invul save from Shield of Faith, which is pretty cool. Verse of Holy Piety. If this hymn is inspiring, select one friendly Adepta Sororitas core or character unit within 6 inches of this priest model. Select one Sacred Rite that is not active for your army. That Sacred Rite is active for that unit in addition to any others that are active for your army. And then Catechism of Repugnance. If this hymn is inspiring, select one friendly Adepta Sororitas core character within 6 inches of this priest model. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack with a bolt weapon, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. If the attack targets a unit within half range, the armor penetration characteristic of the attack is improved by 1. So that's pretty cool, making super bolters, which is fun. I like hymns. I like hymns a lot. I imagine they'll say in their abilities if they can what they inspire on. All right, so let's go over the relics that they have here. We've got Blade of Saint Eleanor, model equipped with a Blessed Blade only. Replaces the Blessed Blade and it becomes Strength +2, AP -3, 3 damage. Not bad for a power sword. Pretty cool. Brazier of Eternal Flame. I think this is one we talked about previously. Model with a Brazier of Holy Fire only. So it's the Brazier of Holy Fire that can be upgraded with this to the Brazier of Eternal Flame. Each time an enemy demon model makes an attack against the bear, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. The bear gains the following ability: Eternal Flame Aura, while an enemy psyker unit is within 18 inches of this bear, each time a psychic test is taken for that unit that contains any double, that unit suffers Perils of the Warp. So perils on all doubles. So old perils is what you get to do to them within 18 inches. You have Wrath of the Emperor here, Adepta Sororitas model equipped with a bolt pistol only. It becomes pistol 4, 18-inch range, strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. Woo, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And then you've got Litanies of Faith here, Adepta Sororitas model only. Adepta Sororitas model only. Once per battle round, if the bear is on the battlefield when you gain a miracle dice, you can reroll that dice before adding to your pool. So you get to reroll miracle dice once per battle round, which is not bad, especially if you want an extra relic, put them in there. Mantle of Ophelia, Canoness model only. Each time an attack is allocated to the bear, the damage characteristic of the attack is changed to 1. Ooh, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 1. Not reduced by 1, but changed to 1. So you get shot in the face by a melta-gun, boom, only 1 damage. That's all it's going to do to you. Ooh, I like that one a lot, especially if you're going to have like a very aggressive canoness, like you're pumping them up with the like giving them the what are they called, blessings of the faithful, and then you make them like a bloody rose with all those extra attacks, and you're just like charging them into battle over there, and you pop this on top of them, and all of a sudden it's like boom. You're only doing 1 damage each time. Don't care if it's D3. Don't care if it's minimum 3. Don't care if it's a melted to the face. Boom. You're only doing 1. Oh, I like that a lot. Mantle of Ophelia. Then you got the Triptych of the Macarian Crusade. Sanctified or Cult Imperialis models only. Add 1 to the bear's toughness characteristic. Not bad. The bear has a 4+ invulnerable save. Once per turn, the first time a saving throw is failed for the bear, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 0. Ooh, once per turn. So each time you fail, the first failed saving throw against them per turn is going to be reduced to 0 damage. So that's pretty cool. They've got a lot of ways to make these characters like survivable, which is fun. That's really fun. And then you got the Book of St. Lucius. Add 3 inches to the range of the bear's aura ability to a maximum of 12 inches. Not bad. Then you've got Iron Surplus of Saint Estalia, Adepta Sororitas model only. Add 1 to the bear's wounds characteristic. Each time an attack is made against this bear, an unmodified wound roll of 1 through 3 for that attack fails, irrespective of anything. And then the bear has a save characteristic of 2+. So 2+ armor, 2+ armor, transhuman physiology, and +1 wound. That's pretty good. That's pretty good too. Again, like I said, a lot of these are really booking to keep your characters alive, which I guess if you're going to start pumping more points into them because of using those the righteous, what are they called, blessings of the faithful, then you really want them to be alive to be able to use it. So that makes sense, and I like it. The Ecclesiarch's Fury, model equipped with a chainsword only. The relic replaces the chainsword with the following profile: strength +2, AP -3, 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll and add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So +1 to wound. So you're going to be strength 5 +1 to wound, which is not bad. And then you have, but you are going to be -1 to hit because of basically I'm sure it's just a giant one. So then we've got Redemption here, a model equipped with the plasma pistol only, replaces it, becomes range 12, pistol 1, strength 8, AP -3, 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, if a hit is scored, draw a straight line between the closest part of the model's base or hull and that of the closest model in the target unit. Make 1 wound roll against the target unit and each other unit this line passes over. So you can't shoot through your own units with this, which is not great, but still, you could, if you're shooting at like 12 inches away, if you're shooting over like a horde unit in between or something like that, you can take out some models, which is not bad. I don't know. I think there's better ones out here. Obviously, Mantle of Ophelia is one of my favorites so far. The Sign of Ecclesiasticus, priest model only. The bearer knows 1 additional hymn from the hymns of battle. If in your command phase, the bearer can intone 1 additional hymn that it knows that has not already been intoned by a friendly model this turn. So that's pretty good. Of course, it has to be a priest, so you don't get as much of a choice in there, but still not bad. And then Blessings of Sebastian Thor, Adepta Sororitas model only. Before you determine which sacred rites are active for your army, select 2 sacred rites until the end of the battle. These sacred rites are active for the bearer's unit instead of those that are active for the rest of your army. Okay, I guess so. Simulacrum Sanctorium, Imagifier model only. At the start of the battle, before the first turn begins, you must select 2 tails of the bearer. You must select 2 tails for the bearer to recount instead of just 1. You cannot select a tail that another model from your army has already recounted unless all 3 tails are being recounted by models from your army. Okay, well, I guess we'll get to that in a second. Chaplet of Sacrifice, Adepta Sororitas model only, once per battle. If the bearer is selected to use once per battle, if the bearer is selected to use an epic deed stratagem, excluding divine intervention, that stratagem costs 0 CP. Once per battle, it costs 0 CP for an epic deed stratagem. So that's pretty cool. I guess this is, maybe it's happened before, but this is one of the first times I've seen where the type of stratagem makes a difference, that they're actually using that thing that they put in there, which is pretty cool. Each time this bearer makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. That's not bad. And then when the bearer is destroyed, do not remove the model from play. At the end of the phase, it can either shoot as if it were your shooting phase or fight as if it were your fight phase. After resolving the destroyed model's attacks, it is then removed. So pretty cool. So now let's go over their secondaries that they have here. So we've got a Leap of Faith, which is a no mercy, no respite. It is going to be at the end of each turn. If 2 acts of faith were performed during your turn by Adepta Sororitas units from your army, score 1 victory point. Victory point if it is your turn, or 2 victory points if it is your opponent's turn. At the end of each turn. At the end of each turn. So yours and your opponent's. You score 1 if it's yours and 2 if it's your opponent's if you've used 2 acts of faith. If 3 or more acts of faith were performed by Adepta Sororitas units from your army during this turn, score 1 additional victory point. Note that acts of faith performed due to cherub dice bestowed by incensor cherubs do not count towards the secondary objective. You can score no more than 12 victory points from the secondary objective during the mission. So maximum of 12, so it doesn't even max out at 15. But you can score 1 from each of your turns if you do 2 acts of faith, 2 for each of your turns if you do 3, or 2 on each of your opponent's turns, or 3 if you do 3 or more. So pretty good. I mean, I could see that being easy to get the 12 for what you're going to be doing there. Then you have Shadow Operations Sacred Grounds here. It's a progressive objective. If you select this objective, then Adepta Sororitas infantry and Cult Imperialis priest units from your army can attempt the following action. Sacred Grounds action. 1 Adepta Sororitas infantry or Cult Imperialis priest unit from your army can start to perform this action at the end of your movement phase, if it is in range of an objective marker that has not already been consecrated by your army. A unit cannot start this action while there are any enemy units, excluding aircraft, in range of the same objective marker. The action is completed at the start of your next command phase or at the end of the battle, whichever comes first, provided the unit performing it is still within range of the same objective marker. If completed, that objective marker is said to have been consecrated by your army, and until the end of the battle, that objective marker gains the inspiring Adeptus Ministorum terrain trait. See the Warhammer 40k core book, as if it were a terrain feature. If it is not considered a terrain feature, it is not considered a terrain feature for any other purpose. Each time a unit from your army completes the Sacred Grounds action, if the objective marker that was consecrated by that action was wholly in your own deployment zone, score 1 victory point, otherwise score 4 victory points. Slay the Heretic here, which is a Purge the Enemy one, progressive objective. At the end of each of your shooting phases, score 1 victory point for each of the following that applies. At the end of each of your shooting phases. 1 or more enemy units were destroyed by an attack made with a bolt weapon by an Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army. 1 or more enemy units were destroyed by an attack made with a flame weapon, Adeptus Ministorum unit from your army. 1 or more enemy units were destroyed by an attack made with a melta weapon for your army. If all 3 of these apply at the end of the shooting phase, then you score 1 additional victory point for a maximum of 4 victory points. Pretty cool. Just going to be using the sacred, the Holy Trinity there to just get you some points. Then you have Battlefield Supremacy, Defend the Shrine. If you select the secondary objective, after both sides have finished deploying, your opponent must select one objective marker on the battlefield not within their own deployment zone to be the Sacred Shrine objective marker. If the only objective marker on the battlefield is in the enemy's deployment zone, then this must be the Sacred Shrine objective marker. At the end of your turn, you score 3 victory points if you control the Sacred Shrine objective marker. At the end of the battle, if you score 3 additional victory points if you control the Sacred Shrine objective marker. At the end of the battle, reduce the number of victory points you have earned from the secondary objective by 3 to a minimum of 0 if your opponent controls the Sacred Shrine objective marker. So, woof. Okay, so they're going to choose one, obviously, that's going to be out in no man's land. They're not going to choose the one in your deployment zone. And then you have to try to control it, and you score 3 victory points if you control it at the end of your turn. If you score 3 victory points if you control it. At the end of the battle, you score 3 additional victory points, but you have -3 if your opponent controls it at the end of the battle. So that could be good. It could be bad. Depends upon your ability to get out there and just jump on those objectives. I guess they've shown a lot of abilities to make your units much more tough and hold out, which is pretty good. So now we're going to move on. Crusade rules. Again, I'm not great with Crusade. They're here. I'm sure they're great. I haven't done a Crusade. I need to do a Crusade so I can actually understand what I'm talking about when I'm dealing with this stuff. But I'm just not able to really talk about these for you guys. So unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about them. It talks about a Crusade army. So let's go over the data sheets. The order keyword. Many data sheets like to have the order keyword. This keyword is that you select yourself. Described, all Adepta Sororitas units, excluding sanctified units, are drawn from one of the order militant. When you include a unit with the order keyword in the army, you must nominate the order that they are from. Some data sheets already specify which order the unit is from, e.g. Junith is Order of the Martyred Lady. If your army is Battleforged, you cannot include units from 2 different order militant in the same detachment. You can find out more about Battleforged. So you can have multiple detachments with multiple orders. They got the abilities here. A unit data sheet will have the abilities, certain abilities. So Field of Sheath, Shield of Faith. Models in this unit have a 6+ invul save. In your opponent's psychic phase, this unit can attempt to deny 1 psychic power as if it were the psyker. Each time a Deny the Witch test is taken for the unit, roll 1d6 instead of 2d6. If the result of the test was an unmodified result of a 6, or if it was greater than the result of the psychic test, that Deny the Witch test is passed. Oh, so that's cool. So now you can actually deny them. On 6s, you're going to deny psychic tests, which is great. So even if they roll like double 6s, they got a 12 on there, you pop off with that 6 and you deny it. You can always deny on a 6, which is great. Oh, that's super great. Unmodified result of 6. So it's not, if you have the one that gives you +3, that 6 isn't going to make it. They can actually give it to you, which is really awesome. I like that a lot. That's cool. That's a cool change. That's a really cool change, especially with all the powers that Psychic are getting. I think that's a really cool change. I like that a lot. And then you have Zealot here. Each time a model of this unit makes a melee attack, if the unit made a charge move, was charged performing a Hero intervention, you can reroll attacks hit roll. So now let's go over the Acts of Faith here. They've got them going on. Once per phase, 1 unit from your army with this ability can perform 1 act of faith. To do so, you will use miracle dice, gaining miracle dice. If every unit from your army has the Adepta Sororitas keyword, excluding models of Cult Imperialis, then at the start of each battle round, you gain 1 miracle dice. At the end of a phase in which any of the following conditions are met, you gain 1 miracle dice. Oh, so here's the big one. This is the one. This is what you now have to have. Everyone in your army has to be Adepta Sororitas or, Cult Imperialis, or Agents of the Imperium or Unaligned in order to use Acts of Faith. So that's what they changed it. Because I remember there was a lot of them where they were talking about different stuff that they had, and people were like, well, it's fine. We'll just soup them up. This is fine. But now you have to be pure sisters if you want to use Acts of Faith. And Acts of Faith seem to be a big deal. Getting miracle dice means a big deal with a lot of this. So once again, GW found a good way to make you want to say pure sisters as opposed to souping it up, which is cool. I like that. I like this change. So you get one at the beginning of each battle round. You gain 1 miracle dice at the end of a phase in which any of the following conditions were met. You gain 1 miracle dice. So you gain 1 at the end of each phase for each of this has happened. So Vengeance, any Adepta Sororitas unit from your army, destroy 1 or more enemy units. So if you destroyed an enemy unit in a phase, boom, you get a miracle dice. So if yeah, that's pretty cool. Then you have Sacrifice, any Adepta Sororitas character unit from your army are destroyed. You get a CP, you get a miracle dice. Note that miracle dice can also be gained via other rules. No matter the source, you can only gain miracle dice from such a rule if every unit from your army has the Adepta Sororitas keyword. So yes, you can only get miracle dice if you have Adepta Sororitas keyword in every model, or the exceptions that they have in there. So yeah, no miracle dice, no acts of faith, nothing like that if you have soup, which is cool. Each time you gain miracle dice, roll 1d6. Number roll value of the miracle dice. This value cannot be changed or re-rolled unless you unless you have a rule that specifically says you can do so. This is your miracle dice pool. Performing an act of faith here. Before making a dice roll for a model or a unit from your army with the Acts of Faith ability, if you have 1 or more dice in your miracle dice pool, that unit can perform an act of faith. To do so, select 1 or more of the dice from your miracle dice pool. Instead of making any or all of those dice rolls, for each individual dice that you are being rolled as part of your dice roll, for each individual dice that is being rolled as part of the dice roll, you can select 1 miracle dice from your miracle dice pool to be substituted in place of that dice. The dice that is being substituted for is not rolled, and instead the value of the selected miracle dice is used as if it had been rolled. Each miracle dice can only be selected for substitution once. Once all miracle dice substitutions have been made, remove the chosen miracle dice from your miracle dice pool and roll any remaining unsubstituted dice that are part of the dice roll. You can use miracle dice when a unit performs an act of faith or any of the following types of dice rolls. Advance rolls, charge rolls, hit roll, wound roll, saving throw, damage roll, morale test. A miracle dice is not a modifier or an inherently modified dice. So, for example, if you use a miracle dice with a value of 1 for a morale test, that is considered to be an unmodified roll of a 1. A miracle dice that has been used for a substitution can never be re-rolled. This means that if any re-rolls occur, the number and values of any miracle dice that have already been substituted in the dice roll remain the same for the re-roll. For example, if a single miracle dice is used to substitute one of the values of a charge roll, and the charge roll was re-rolled, only the unsubstituted dice roll can be re-rolled. Example 1, instead of rolling 1d6 to see if the value is added to a unit's move characteristic, the unit advances, you can use the dice for miracle dice. The value of the dice was 5, it would add 5 inches to the move. So, and instead of rolling 2d6 to see what a unit's charge distance is when making a charge roll, you can use either 1 or 2 dice from your miracle dice pool. If you choose 2 miracle dice, the value of those dice are a 6 and a 3. The unit's charge distance would be a 9. So similar stuff going on here with these acts of faith, but you obviously now have other things that you can use miracle dice for, which is pretty cool. Sacred Rites. This unit gains a bonus depending on which sacred rites are active for your army. After players have determined the mission, you must select 1 sacred rite from the following table to be active for your army. Alternatively, you can randomly determine 2 sacred rites from the table to be active for your army by rolling 2d6 and looking up the results. If a double is rolled, roll both dice again until 2 different results are rolled. Okay, so you get to reroll doubles, but you have to reroll both. So you can't just keep one that you like and then reroll one of them. If you roll double 6s, you can't keep one as Light of the Emperor. You have to reroll both of them. In either case, these sacred rites are active for your army until the end of the battle. Some rules can make additional sacred rites become active for your unit during the battle. Duplicated active sacred rites on this unit have no additional effect. So number 1 is Hand of the Emperor. While the Sacred Rite is active, add 1 to the advanced rolls and charge rolls made for this unit. Ooh, that's pretty good. Spirit of the Martyr. While this Sacred Rite is active, each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack and does not explode, roll 1d6. On a 6, after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks, it suffers 1 mortal wound. A unit can suffer a maximum of 6 mortal wounds per phase as a result of this ability. Aegis of the Emperor. While this Sacred Rite is active, each time this ability uses the Shield of Faith ability to make a Deny the Witch test, if the result of the test was an unmodified result of a 5+, or if it was greater than the result of the Psychic test, then that Deny the Witch test is passed. So it's 5+ auto deny, which is 1/3 of your opponent's Psychic test can be denied. That's awesome. I like that a lot. And Divine Guidance. While the Sacred Rite is active, each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack or an unmodified wound roll of 6, the armored penetration characteristic of that attack is improved by 1. So, makes a ranged attack on an unmodified wound roll of a 6. While this Sacred Rite is active, this number 5, the Passion. While this rite is active, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified wound roll of 6 is 1 additional hit. Oh, scores 1 additional hit. That's pretty cool. Blowing up 6s, that's nice. And then Light of the Emperor. While this Sacred Rite is active, you can ignore any or all modifiers to this unit's leadership characteristic, and each time a combat attrition test is taken for this unit, you can ignore any and or all modifiers. So those are cool. I like those. I like these Sacred Rites. I think these are really cool, and I think they're going to be super effective. I know the Sacred Rites were not as great for the 8th edition. That's why people were souping them, because you lost them. But now you lose the ability to do the Acts of Faith instead, which is, I think, way worse to lose. So I think people are not going to be souping up their sisters as much anymore. So then we go into everyone over here. So we've got, we got more Vol with all her stuff that they already talked about. Let's go over here. Let's see. Canoness don't have the ability to preach. So we got Missionary is going to be a Adeptus Ministorum. He is going to be a Cult Imperialis priest missionary there. Palatine, Celestine, Triumph of St. Catherine. So you've got all of the different characters. I just want to see Ephrael Stern, and that's so cool. Ephrael Stern can now be used in your armies, which is pretty good. During deployment, you can set up the unit by portal instead. So this is pretty cool. But I'm trying to see who else gets Dialogus. Oh, the Dialogus. So the Dialogus will also have the priest ability here, so she could be the one that gets to do all the different stuff. Dialogus bolt pistol, a Dialogus staff. So you can't make the super beat stick, like I said. That would have been great with the chapter there. So the Dialogus is going to be the one that's the sister of battle. The Adepta Sororitas, priest that gets to do those abilities, so you can choose all of them there instead of just the other one. So, and the preacher is going to be the same, the priest, but he's not going to be Adepta Sororitas. So you got a preacher. Oh yeah, so you got preacher, and the preacher is going to be your elites version of a missionary. So the missionary is the new one, is the new HQ level priest, which is pretty cool there, having the ability. So yeah, not bad. I like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you've got all the different stuff that they've got going on here, which is great. So yeah. Oh, the Dogmata. Oh, Dogmata is also going to be a priest there. So she can have the one where she can boost herself up and get super attacky, which is great, because her Mace of Righteousness is going to be strength +2, AP -2, 2 damage. So now you get extra attacks in there. Base 3 becomes 4 with that. Oh yeah, that would be kind of cool. She could be the one, the beat stick, I think would be what you would want to have as a priest, giving off that the ability there. So she's got priest. Repentia Superior. Oh, the other one I want to see was Sister Repentia. So they Imperium, Adeptus Ministorum, Adeptus Sororitas Order. Yeah. So infantry. What was the other thing I was looking for? I wanted to see if they were Ecclesiarchy, Battle Conclave. No, I guess I don't know what I was thinking. All those other things they were talking about. So yeah, pretty cool. I I mean, I'm super excited about what they have for all of these. Outcast is going to be mortifiers there. I don't think they had outcasts in the Sister Repentia. Nope, they're not outcasts, so that's pretty good. So they're going to have the ability to benefit from all those different things. But yeah, awesome stuff. I was super excited for how they were going to do, and they did some really, really good stuff. So I'm really excited for this. This Codex. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see them on the board again, because now they're not going to be they can't soup unless you want to give up on Acts of Faith, and I think Acts of Faith is a big deal for the Sisters of Battle this turn now with this edition. So you're not going to want to lose those miracle dice anymore. So you're going to see it's going to be pure sisters or no sisters, I think is what it's going to come down to, which is what I think they're doing. They're trying to keep it that way for all of them. They make all of the abilities that you lose just like real hard to lose. So they make them really hard to lose. So I think this is going to be cool to see the Sisters of Battle on the table there. They don't feel broken, but they feel very strong, which is what I've been feeling from all of these 9th edition codexes. I think they got a boost, but I think they also got a good balancing. So I think it's sort of like with the Space Marine Codex, where they were doing well before, but the new one balances out some things and then just boosts them in different other ways to make them very effective. I think they're going to be very effective on the table. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. This has been fun to be able to see them and get back at this. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. Let me know what you guys are excited to see from the Sisters on the table there. And until next time, stay safe and have fun.